Morning friends, happy Monday. How the heck you doing? This is straight out of North Korea. It's deja vu. Kate sends majestic Christmas present to the Royal Marsden Hospital where the princess received cancer treatment. This is straight out of 2024's playbook. The Christmas present is a Christmas tree that was in the church where she had a Christmas carol concert. That Christmas tree was paid for, like last year, by ITV. So let's get this straight. ITV bought a Christmas tree, very kind of them, to decorate the church so the church would look great for filming. And Kate's idea of charity is to pass that free tree onwards to the cancer hospital where she received, obviously, such loving, tender and high specialist support. Are you beginning to think it's all a con? They literally take millions and millions of pounds from the economy every single month. And even for a charity, they will never put their hand in their own pocket. Change is coming in 2026, guys. Do they know? Do they know that there's more stuff waiting to be dropped from Andrew? Have they known it for a decade? Is that why they do nothing? Maybe. Let's wait and see what 2026 brings. Comments are open as ever. Hope you don't get a cough like me.
Let's get this straight. The Christmas present in question is a Christmas tree. Not just any tree, but one that had already been used in a church for a televised Christmas carol concert. That tree was paid for by ITV, just like last year. ITV purchased it to decorate the church so it would look good on camera. Once filming was done, the tree had already served its purpose. So Kate's idea of charity here is to pass along a free corporate-funded tree to the cancer hospital where she received specialist care. And we're expected to applaud this as generosity. At what point do we pause and ask whether this is all a con? This family takes millions and millions of pounds from the public every single month. And yet, when it comes to charity, even something symbolic, they never seem to put their hands in their own pockets. Change is coming in 2026, and you have to wonder if they know it. Do they know more is waiting to drop about Andrew? Have they known for years? Is that why nothing ever changes? Maybe. Let's wait and see. Comments are open, as always. Let me know what you think. Now, let's slow this down and really sit with what we just watched. Strip away the soft lighting, the sentimental music, the palace-approved press releases, and the carefully chosen words like majestic and thoughtful. What's left isn't heartwarming. It isn't generosity, and it certainly isn't sacrifice. It's optics, it's branding, and yes, it's regifting. Here are the basic facts the UK media loves to rush past. The Christmas tree sent to the Royal Marsden was not purchased by Kate, William, Kensington Palace, the Duchy, the Royal Foundation, or any private royal funds. It was paid for by ITV as a production expense for a televised concert. It was a prop, a background asset. Once filming wrapped, it was no longer needed. So what happened next? That leftover decor was passed along and rebranded as a royal gift. Not a donation funded by royal money, not a charitable purchase made with personal funds, not even something commissioned specifically for the hospital. And yet we're supposed to clap. Let's be absolutely clear before the defenders clutch their pearls. The Royal Marsden Hospital does incredible work. Cancer patients deserve dignity, comfort and joy, especially during the holidays. This critique is not about the hospital. It's about the people who benefit financially, symbolically and politically from attaching their name to charity without opening their own wallets. Here's the uncomfortable truth that keeps getting buried under bows and blessings. The royal family cost the British public millions every single month. Security, staff, estates, travel, maintenance, PR operations, legal protections, millions. And yet, when it comes to tangible charity, the bar seems to be, what can we pass along that someone else already paid for? That isn't generosity. It's efficiency branding. And it's starting to look less like benevolence and more like a carefully managed con. Think about it logically. If an average working-class family regifted something they got for free and presented it as a charitable donation, would we call that admirable? No, we'd call it cheeky. Now, imagine that same family was already receiving millions in public support, tax exemptions, inherited wealth and lifetime security, and still refused to spend a single pound of their own money on charity. People would be furious. But when it's Kate, the rules change. We're told to be moved, to be grateful, to clap quietly and say, well, at least she did something. But why is that something always so suspiciously cost-free? And why does this pattern keep repeating? Because this is the 2024 playbook all over again. Corporate-funded appearances, media-sponsored optics, charity moments that cost the royal household exactly zero. Yet every headline frames it as a deeply personal sacrifice. Look at the language being used. Kate sends majestic Christmas presents. Plural. Majestic. But there was one tree. Paid for by ITV, used on a TV set, passed along after filming. That's not plural. That's not majestic. And it's certainly not philanthropy. It's a press release doing Olympic-level gymnastics. And this is where public frustration really boils over. This is a cancer hospital, not a PR backdrop, not a photo op, not a redemption arc. Cancer patients and healthcare workers don't need symbolic gestures alone. They need funding, resources, and sustained support. Yes, symbolism matters, but symbolism without sacrifice is hollow, especially when it comes from an institution with more wealth and privilege than most countries on earth. Put this in perspective. The Royal Marsden needs funding for cutting-edge research, updated diagnostic equipment, more beds, more staff, and more support services for patients and families. A single piece of medical equipment can cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. The royal family could write that cheque without noticing the money was gone. Instead, they sent a used Christmas tree and expected praise. That's not just tone-deaf. It's insulting. It reveals exactly where the priorities lie. Image over impact, perception over reality, headlines over help. And here's the truly maddening part. This could have been avoided so easily. All they had to say was, ITV generously donated this tree from our carol concert set, and we're pleased to pass it along to the Royal Marsden. Transparent, honest, simple. But instead, the story was crafted to suggest royal benevolence, personal thoughtfulness, and sacrifice that simply didn't exist. That's the manipulation people are finally seeing through. So when people ask, is it all a con? It's getting harder to argue that it isn't. The royal family rarely, if ever, puts their own personal money into charity in a visible, accountable way. They lend their presence, their name, their image, but almost never their wallet. And the public is waking up. This isn't just social media nitpicking. This isn't just anti-monarchists being loud. This is everyday people asking why they're funding this, why people are struggling to heat their homes while royals are praised for regifting production leftovers, why nurses are overworked and underpaid while royal charity is measured in aesthetic gestures instead of actual investment, why pensioners are told heating allowances are unaffordable while a family living in palaces is celebrated for donating a corporate prop. The dissonance is staggering, and people are done pretending it makes sense. Real charity looks different. It looks like J.K. Rowling giving away so much money she dropped off the billionaire list. It looks like Dolly Parton funding vaccine research and literacy programs out of her own pocket. It looks like Marcus Rashford personally funding and campaigning to feed hungry children. Those people put their money where their values are. No cameras required, no PR gymnastics, just action. Now compare that to a family with billion-pound estates, tax exemptions, crown properties and inherited wealth stretching back centuries, and the charitable contribution is a recycled prop. You couldn't make it up. And this story didn't land in a vacuum. It landed during a cost of living crisis, NHS underfunding, growing anti-monarchy sentiment and increasing scrutiny of royal finances. That's why Change is Coming in 2026 hits differently. People aren't just venting anymore. They're anticipating accountability. Prince Andrew's shadow looms over all of this, whether the palace likes it or not. People are asking if they knew, how long they knew, and whether silence has been a strategy. Because the pattern of inaction, deflection and image management suggests an institution focused on protecting itself rather than confronting reality. That's why gestures like this tree feel insulting instead of comforting. They feel like distractions. And then there's the unavoidable comparison with Harry and Meghan. Love them or hate them, one thing is undeniable. They spend their own money on security, on projects, on staff, on charitable initiatives. They don't rely on ITV to fund goodwill. They don't pass off corporate sponsorship as personal generosity. They fund things, they build things, they show receipts. That comparison makes the UK press deeply uncomfortable, which is exactly why stories like this spark such defensive reactions. One side is constantly criticised for being self-promotional while opening their own checkbook. The other is endlessly praised for symbolic gestures that cost them nothing. And the public is finally noticing. That's why this tree story didn't quietly pass. It exploded, because it represents something bigger, an outdated, performative royal model that feels increasingly disconnected from reality. People are tired of being told to be grateful for crumbs, especially when those crumbs were paid for by someone else. They're tired of being emotionally manipulated by soft-focused charity narratives, and they're tired of being told that asking questions is cruel. Accountability is not cruelty. It's citizenship. If Kate truly wanted to support the Royal Marsden in a meaningful way, she could have done it quietly. No cameras, no headlines, no televised carol service. She could have funded equipment, staff support, research grants. But that wouldn't reinforce the image of effortless benevolence. It would require sacrifice, the one thing this institution consistently avoids. So when people say this has been ruthlessly dragged, that isn't exaggeration. It's frustration boiling over. Once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. This tree wasn't a gift. It was a symbol of how low the bar has fallen and how desperately the palace hoped no one would notice. But they did. And they're talking. And they're not done yet. Because if this is what charity looks like from an institution drowning in privilege, then yes, 2026 is going to be very uncomfortable. Comments are open, and this time people are paying attention.